Hi, I am Dustin Pickering from Parrot Literary Corner. You know me, your noble and honest host, and I've got exciting news for you. Last anthology, Series 1, The Literary Parrot, did such a great job. We wanted to continue to provide this community service to our viewers and to our contributors to the program. So please get up and get a copy immediately. You know, if you're in this book, you want to get a copy. If you're not in the book, you want to get a copy and see what we're doing. You want to be excited with us. We want you on this program, and we hope to see you sometime soon on The Literary Parrot. You have to get your hands on this copy. It's amazing. It's an absolutely beautiful anthology meant just for you. Our past guests have been invited back to contribute yet again to this Series 2. We do this quarterly anthology. We will be doing this after our 200 episode milestone. As of this last quarter, we reached 200 episodes, and past that, get up and get a copy immediately. This is the only TV show on earth for creative writers, and our guests are amazing. They're also community activists building from the ground up. This program is for everybody out there who is a creative mind. Order several copies if you can and donate to local libraries. Give them to your friends, cousins, fans, supporters, anybody that you think loves poetry. And it's not just poetry in this book. Remember, this is creative mind. So we have prose, fiction, short stories, essays, artwork, anything you can think of, artistically creative, photographs. Everything in this book is packed. It is packed. It is just absolutely packed. If you want to get your hands on it now,
listen to the people, listen to humanity, listen to the Parrot, Parrot TV, Parrot TV.
Hey guys, welcome to World Inkers Network. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. This was formerly the Parrot's Literary Corner. It is now the World Inkers Network, as you see. Today we have four of our 10 ambassadors with us: Sankha Sen, Rick Christiansen, Maria Nazos, and Jill Sharon Kimmelman. You guys, excellent. Welcome to the show. We're going to have an excellent discussion about the future of World Inkers Network. So I would like to just kick it off with asking each of you individually. Let's start with Sankha, since he's on at the bottom of the screen there. What was your experience with being interviewed by myself, by me, Dustin Pickering, on the Parrot TV program? How did you feel about being interviewed, and how did you feel about the interactions?
Hi, Dustin. First of all, let me wish you Happy New Year. It was a great start to get invited in this interview. As you mentioned, last year I had a couple of interviews invited by you and Mutiu. I was really excited, and also I found a platform where my writing, which was actually getting a couple of acknowledgements from different lots, but this gave me a global platform to portray my talent, to portray my thinking. I have kind of come across different areas, and this is actually the perfect platform which I found. I'm really thankful to you and Mutiu that you guys kind of created this platform, and as we see, eventually it is getting success all over the globe, and which is actually a very big thing. To get a success regionally is something, and to get a success globally is something definitely different. And I sitting like across the Atlantic Sea in Europe, and I found the responses which we are getting here, and as well as in Asia, and of course in the United States, is tremendous. And I feel myself really honored to be a part of this futuristic effort which you guys driving. And thanks a lot, as you have kind of selected me as an ambassador of this. And I really find my effort, which I really try to kind of write or try to drive through my writing and through my cultural activities in uplifting the humanitarian effort. And this gives me a really great platform where I can really portray my efforts. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about yourself and other things outside of the Parrot Literary Corner. Like some of your books. Some of the
Yes,
things
yes.
you published. A little bit, just enough to get our audience intrigued by what you do.
Right, right. Basically, my main profession is different. I'm a technical guy. I'm basically an electrical engineer, working. I've worked in many countries in Asia, in Europe, and United States. Now I'm settled in Germany. Apart from that, I'm also a musician. I do play guitar and keyboards, and I've done a couple of shows here in Europe and also in India. And like people have liked my playing and liked my compositions. I've also performed in one of the shows here. Thanks a lot to you guys. And apart from that, since last 3 4 years, I have kind of started writing. My mother and my wife, they have kind of inspired me and also told that like, why don't you start writing again? I had been writing when I was a child, and they liked it, and they said that, okay, why don't you start writing again? And I started, and through Facebook I immediately got an invitation to publish my work, and this was the first book which was published in India. It's called Sankha Monjori, kind of from my name. If you see, Sankho is the real pronunciation of my name, and Monjori is kind of collection of my work. So this got published in India, and it got really good appreciation. It really got also its first release in the International Book Fair in Calcutta, and it was really well acknowledged by the person there. He liked the book because it has poetries and writings in three different languages, in English, in German language. This didn't have a German language, but like this had English and Bengali, and then it had got a lot of acknowledgments from different places and also different parts of the globe. And then the same publishing company also like offered me to publish my second book. My second book has also been published. It's like the collection of feelings, also published in India, and this has actually works in English and German language and in Bengali language as well, which has also kind of got a tremendous good acknowledgement from different parts of the globe. And then I kind of come across uh, this New York Parrot TV, and I'm really thankful to their great effort, and where my story was also selected in this book. This was the first book which was published. I think all of you know that, the Literary Parrot. And with the tremendous success of this first book, we went into the next book, which is also here, this the Literary Parrot. So in the first book, also a story, you'll find a story of mine. It basically rotates around the human emotions, romance, also rotating around different beautiful locations in Europe, in Switzerland, in England, and in Austria, and in Germany. And now in the next book, in the current book, I came across a different test. I came across a different test coming actually from my aptitude, scientific aptitude, since basically I'm an engineer. So this scientific aptitude mixed with the literature part brought me into this science fiction world, and I love also a lot of like scientific theories which kind of bring humanity into a kind of a place where people can start dreaming how will their future look like, and coming across all the latest theories which is actually kind of knocking the human research areas, like for example parallel world and time machine and knowing yourself, like kind of gender transformations, if you have already read my book. So all these latest theories, and which is actually really kind of keeping all the physicists alive, and really keeping their hope alive. Okay, someday, who knows, like our science fictions might be kind of true. We might land up into a parallel world, and you can find yourself into a different world, doing something different. All these concepts like paradox concept and all, if you kind of meet your own grandfather into a different world, and how can the whole path really change. These concepts have also been defined into this book, and also like gender transformations which is happening also currently. So keeping this in mind, that okay, how the human beings will really dream about the future, how will they really kind of even though they know that their life is about to end, let's say in 60, 70 years, but they can actually imagine that how a life of their grandchildren might be in the next 100, 200 years. Like dreaming is something which keeps us alive. We are here to dream and kind of make ourselves happy, and that there I found really a great platform here to kind of portray my writing. And thanks a lot once again
Well, thank you
for
so much,
this
Sankha.
portray. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you for your comments. And we'll get back to you in a minute here. I want to move on to Rick, who is, I believe he's on a vacation, and he's out there with chilling out and having a good time. And so he took some time out for us to talk to us a little bit about his experience with Parrot TV. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're coming from, who you are, and a little bit about your experience with being interviewed and your various affiliations as an ambassador.
You bet. Well, we've talked about this before, Dustin. COVID is, of course, a terrible thing, but there have been some silver linings. And one of those silver linings has been just the ubiquitous nature of the electronic communication. What we're doing here right now, Parrot TV, Literary Corner, workshops that are available online now. And so 2021 was really a banner year for me. Coming into the year, I'd been writing and publishing marginally since 2016. I retired as a corporate executive in 2016 and got back to my first love of writing at that point. And when this past year began, I'd had 9 poems published. During 2021, I've now had approximately 25 additional poems published in a lot of different journals. And part of the credit for that does go to, you're calling it now World Inkers Network. It is a network. You and I have been building networks. There are so many writers that I've gotten to know this year, opportunities that have been presented to me. I'm now a co-host for another program, SpoFest, which does featured readers and guest authors and open mic. You are going to be one of our featured readers this coming Tuesday night on SpoFest.
That'll be fun.
Maria, who is here today, Maria is going to be one of our featured readers in, I believe, March. And of course, Maria's been on the show here. I have been fortunate enough to have done 3 spots with you in 2021. We did an interview with me early in the year. I think I'm number 47 out of what is now hundreds, because you guys are out there every day. And then I was part of a panel along with Madeline Artenberg and some other folks for when the first Parrot Poetry anthology came out. And then you were kind enough to interview me for the last one when it came out, which I also had a piece in. So it has been a banner year, and Parrot has been an important part of that. Maria Nazos, I was so glad to see that Maria was able to make it here today, because she has been a critical aspect of my growth and success this past year. She, of course, is a professional poet, a PhD, and she teaches wonderful poetry workshops. And I've been in a series of her workshops, and I've learned so much about form poetry and deconstructing forms. And she has been, along with all of the wonderful other classmates we've had, a great part of me finding, really a more fully articulated poetic voice. And then now, yesterday I had a couple of pieces published in McQueen's Quinterly, which I'm pretty proud of. And both of those pieces were predicated by forms class, and one of them was actually an assignment that I did for Maria for the high bun form. And now, my homework's getting turned into published works, and she gets the lion's share of credit for that. So, Sankha, you talked about, community and network, and that's really what is facilitated here. I know, Dustin, you have are articulated the mission statement of what you guys are trying to do, and that is being manifested on a daily basis. What we're doing today is a manifestation of that. Finding the people out there who are passionate about art and literature and writing and ideas, and bringing us together in ways and forums that allow us to share and grow. And so, it was a heck of a year, and I know 2022 is going to be even better. And you guys are an important part of that. So you have my gratitude and my admiration, and I'm really glad to have the opportunity to be part of this today.
Well, excellent, Rick. Thanks for your introduction and your comments. And yes, this is definitely a network. We're building from the ground up, as I've said before. This is a community. So moving on to our next person, we have Maria Nazos, and she can introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her work with poetry and her experience with Parrot TV. So go ahead, Maria. You're muted, by the way. See if you can unmute yourself. There you go. All right.
No one's ever accused
me.
She
speaks.
Of being quiet. I know, right? No one's ever accused me of being at a loss for words. But that said, I am really honored to be here. Thank you, Dustin. Thank you to the entire team. And I am, as Rick said, who is a wonderful student and friend and person and everything. I write poetry. I consider that my first and foremost passion. And I have several different side hustles, which are also ancillary passions, if you will. I teach a variety of different online workshops, including those that focus on both various poetic forms like the pantoum and the ghazal, as well as ways to deconstruct them. I'm really, really into these days the concept of disrupting and wrecking form. I have seen so many contemporary poets, particularly poets of color, doing that. I see them rupturing forms. I see people erasing sestina. So I'm currently teaching a class on that. And then in late January, starting from the 27th, I'll be teaching another upcoming workshop called What the Bleep Did I Just Say? Handling the bold, the bad, and the ugly in poetry. And that's through Lark Song. It's a really terrific nonprofit. And so when I'm not writing, when I'm not teaching, I am also working full-time as a content manager. One of my other little, I don't know what you want to call it, passions, side hustles, it's content management strategy and social media, which I've really grown passionate about, ironically, because I was always somebody who I was so afraid to promote myself. It took everything in me to hit the send button. So now I've found myself really growing more comfortable as I've been working for a nonprofit in terms of feeling that that comfort for not just promoting my own work, but other people's as well. It's really what we want as writers. And to your and Rick's point earlier, Dustin, I mean, it really is a network. And like, yes, poetry as a genre is, whatever you want to call it, making a comeback since, like, I don't know, Whitman. I don't know another time in like American history when it was becoming commercialized. But that said, we still do really need each other. We need friends. We need supporters. We need advice. And so I think of network on all of those different levels. And that's why I love what you guys do, because network isn't, like, to me, I don't know, it's not just like tottering around on heels with like a champagne flute and giving your business card. Networking is a deeper, more meaningful conversation. It's introduction. It's letting down the walls of vulnerability. And that's what instances like these, That's what the opportunity to do my workshops, and that's what social media all has in common for me. It's about creating that network. I have to say, I was just thinking about this the other day, Dustin. One of the things that, like, it didn't occur to me at the time, but I'd like to call attention and praise it from our interview that we did back when the World Inkers Network was the Parrot Literary Corner. So I remember we were talking and you asked me one of the best interview questions ever. You asked me, and I liked it so much, I put it in a social media post. You asked me why I write so much about bars and drinking. I was like I was so impressed, because usually as a writer, I don't know. I mean, of course I'll answer any and most questions as transparently as I can. But what I loved about that question and your interviewing style, and it didn't even occur to me until, like, I knew that I loved it, but I didn't know why. And then last week, and this is something that I've seen you do with multiple other guests, I was watching a really cool YouTube video, and I don't know if you've seen it or maybe the skill comes naturally to you. But my husband sent me this YouTube video because I also do interviews, and it's about how we can impress people by asking more obscure or challenging questions than what they might usually get. And it shows this one particular host. I'll have to send you the link. I forget his name, but he's like, you watch him interviewing all these people, like, what's her name? She was Bella on Twilight. Okay, anyway, so he's interviewing people like that, and like Joe Rogan, and like different talk show hosts, and you can watch all of them stop and pause. Like, he'll ask one of them, like, why do you love crows so much? And they stop, and each time they go, how did you know that? Wow, that's a really good question. So that is my reaction to you and you guys, and what you do is, like, you ask the questions that are like that, like the ones that are challenging, and you're also not afraid to challenge us as guests, but also be like, okay, so what is the question that someone's gotten a billion different times, and what's something that's interesting and relevant to right now, and what's a little bit of a risk to ask, like what can really allow me to peel back the layers of this person and explore. And so, like I said, like, I just really, really appreciated that. And as I watched that YouTube that my husband sent me, I went, oh my gosh, it just like occurred to me today, because I was thinking about you and I was thinking about the show, and I went, that's exactly what Dustin does. He researches people and tries to figure out the questions that we wouldn't necessarily be asked, that are a little bit risky, and you're also not afraid to challenge. So I just wanted to applaud that, in addition to all of your efforts, of course, of creating the network as we talk about.
Excellent. That's a good comment. I think that that's definitely something I like to do, is to ask questions that are outside the norm, just like something that's definitely a little bit outside of the scope of a normal interview. I think a generic interview, anybody can get on like a blog or something and have generic questions, and just say, when did you start writing? What age did you start? Just basic stuff that everyone asks everybody else. And it's like, that kind of gets dull after a while. And I want to be exciting and interesting and provoke people a little bit to think on different levels. And I think that's definitely something that, takes a little time and effort to research the person, as you said, and get to know their work a little bit deeper than just, on the superficial level. I'm not a superficial person. I like to dig.
Yeah, absolutely. The woman, the celebrity whose name I was blanking on, Kristen Stewart. It was Kristen Stewart who this guy was interviewing, and she went, that's a really good question. I mean, like, he interviewed the producer to Star Wars Everything, and I went, that's Dustin. That's like so cool that, and like, for me, I like being not just challenged but uncomfortable, and I like to think on my feet. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic practice.
And that's when we have you as ambassador. You love the thought of what we're doing, and you're totally in scope with the mission. And so that's one of the reasons why we chose you as an ambassador. So let's move on to Jill Sharon Kimmelman. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? You just released a book recently. How is that book doing?
The book is doing well. I'm very excited, actually, about the ebook, because even though it was originally planned to have an ebook and an iBook. What happened is something so out of the ordinary that the ebook is going to give that back. So, Dustin, but I'll just give a quick summation of what happened. My first book is called You Are the Poem. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, we can see it.
Can everybody see it? It's got a very beautiful, memorable cover, very simple, a photograph of hydrangeas. And the book cover design was actually a gift from Annette Tarpley. And I'm very honored to be able to say that. But the book came out early in November, and we planned a Zoom launch with guests from several countries. Lots of energy, effort, time, etc., all went into that. And I kept getting sicker and sicker. And unfortunately, the day that the launch would have happened, I was in the ER with 103.6 fever, praying I didn't have COVID. So I wasn't able to do a launch. I also wasn't able to do anything about promoting my book other than all of the target marketing I had outlined already. And all of that was in place. But as far as actively going on social media and saying, hey guys, it's out there, I'm so excited and I want to be a part of all of that. But I wasn't able to. And 2 days after it came out on the 8th of November, I received my second Pushcart Prize nomination for one of the poems in the book dedicated to nurses. It's something very special to me. What it means, far more than a Pushcart Prize nomination, what it really means is more nurses get to see it. More people get to be aware of it. The message of gratitude written from while I was a hospital patient and written from the perspective of a nurse on, it's called double shift. And that is what they call it when they work a 24-hour day. And I'm told that I got it right and it resonates with nurses. But again, that was something I was unable to even acknowledge. So I was so happy to be able to read while I was recovering other people getting nominations and other people celebrating. And I wasn't able to do any of that. And the most miraculous thing happened when the announcement was made that I could not be at my own launch. And it was explained by my publisher, Lisa Tomey, Jill's not well. The response was unbelievable. It was magical. I received recipes, and Dustin knows this, in dozens and dozens of languages of tried and true homeopathic family cure-alls. I received sweet, strong messages filled with optimism and hope, and prayers, and the greatest thing of all were poems, brand new poems given to me as gifts, because the message of my book was optimism, unity, tales of survival, absolute celebration, reasons for celebrating even during the pandemic, during lockdown, during quarantine. And those of us in the US are fortunate because people in other countries didn't have the opportunities we had for the new drugs and vaccines and testing kits. And what we found out later were countries were way, way behind us. and still are. So it's as if people picked up the ball and carried it for me across the finish line, volunteering, promoting my book, promoting my poems. And so this is my chance in the ebook to not simply repeat what we did in a paperback version, but to actually add a fourth section, a fourth collection with poems that are gifts recited in either videos or memorable audios by the authors, in most part themselves, a few my own, and a couple of essays in there to explain things. And I am so excited to be able to acknowledge these acts of kindness and these beautiful, beautiful gifts. So even if the book wasn't in your hands for whatever reason, and it may have been too pricey because it was a full color, and Amazon sets the price, so we all know it was a bit pricey, but the ebook won't be. It'll have so much more in it. It's jam-packed with glorious videos, new poems, a few from me, but mostly gifts. And I couldn't believe how fortunate I was. So when people say, oh my God, you must have been so devastated to miss all of this, I said, actually, when I look back on this, when I think about this time a month ago, 6 weeks, almost 2 months ago at this point, I am filled with nothing but gratitude and celebration and so much joy in my heart as we put together this ebook to honor the great many people who, many I know, but more I don't, who have been so amazingly kind. So I'm excited to be able to say
That's
that
wonderful.
it's like this is something brand new, and I'm
Wonderful.
thrilled that
Absolutely
it'll be
beautiful.
accessible.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that, and speaking of networks, and as Maria was saying, it's not just handing your card out and being like, hey,
Right.
brother, here's a card, call me when you need me. There's definitely an interpersonal, friendly, getting vulnerable, and especially with with poetry, you have to learn that skill of just being open and honest and being efficiently kind and respectful of people, and knowing that we're all vulnerable at times, and that's what poetry is supposed to do, is kind of let your guard down, and you're a human being. You're not just a robot that just takes orders and commands and stuff. You're a real person, a living entity that has feelings and rights and needs to be respected, and that's one of the things I love about the arts, is to cultivate through culture the ability to for each of us to, I guess you could call it self-domestication, scientifically speaking, bring us together as a human race. We can cross bounds, and that's what World Inkers Network is trying to accomplish. Is we're trying to bring the whole world together as one, and all these artists, and we're working for 1 million. We're trying to get 1 million subscribers, 1 million members to our Facebook group. So as ambassadors, I want to ask each of you, how do you think we can accomplish that? What are your suggestions? Let's start with Rick. What do you have to say about bringing in more people to this network? How do we do this? What are your suggestions? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, well, I'll start out by going back to what Maria said about your interviewing. You do your research, you do your legwork, you get some really, really incredible people on the show, and then you essentially, in a positive way, exploit that by making sure that you know who's there, you know what they've accomplished, know what they have to offer, with some detail to it. And you then are really good at doing two things: drawing the person out so that the audience is able to really see something special in this day. And of course, it helps us when we're on the show. You help us to present our best selves and to share our best work. As you know, I do SpoFest, and we've started a new feature with a guest author. We're not doing it every day, but we're going to be doing it every month. And honestly, I went and watched several more. I regularly watch you guys, but I watched several more just to prepare for the first interview I was doing, because I wanted to be sure that some of the tricks of the trade that I've seen you utilize and that I've seen you develop over the last year. I mean, if you do this hundreds of times, my friend, you get better and better and better at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's going to be one of the keys to this network increasing and to more people being on there, because you're, working hard every day to produce high quality content. And that's what it's about. People are going to come and watch if what they've got to come and watch is interesting and compelling and timely and useful. And so I think you're on the right track with that. Also, the essential mission. A friend of mine who was also on the show, Damian Ward Hay. One of the things he said that really struck me, I've shared it with some other people. He said, well, what I love about these guys is they are essentially in a business that is full of ego. They are egoless. They are there with pride, but they are there to get a job done and to present the best face of our artistic community and the individual spokespeople of that. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of what you do. It's not about you every day. It's not about any kind of ego gratification. It is about presenting this incredible mission of the importance of art in our world. Absolutely. And the importance of the word. I know you fairly well, and I know how passionate you are about language and about poetry and fiction and philosophy and essays and ideas. And all of that comes through every day on this program. And so I say just more of the same, and it's going to continue to build. And then, of course, all of us that are participating, it's important that we all understand that as part of the network, we also have to be part of the promotion. And that's what we work on doing. Social media is the Western Union of our current world and the future. It's what the Telegram used to be. And so it's important that all of us that are involved, that see the value of this mission, that have the same set of values that you guys have, that we propagate this out into the world, and we do things like post on Instagram, post on Facebook, post on Twitter. Maria has a huge base of people on Twitter. I've got close to 5,000 Facebook contacts now. And so when something's coming up, when there's a particularly interesting interview, I go out of my way to ensure that I put it out there so that there's awareness. You're making sure that the content's there. You're making sure that the content is accessible. And all of us need to make sure that people know that. And so, and that's what we're doing a little bit here today.
Right.
It's this opportunity to share something that is valuable and important. And this is a great way to inaugurate a new year where we're going to see even more. Maria also talked about how we've had sort of a renaissance in spoken word in the last couple of years, partly because people are trapped in their homes. They got out their notebooks and they started writing. And so a fast-paced world is maybe slowed down enough that people are able to talk about it and enjoy poetry. And so that's a good thing. And this is one of the vehicles for doing that really well. So
we hope also to be a document for historical purposes. I mean, people can go back and look at this time and see that we've covered 232 episodes in the last, year. and they can look at this and they can go through this, and this is like a documentarian project as well. It's not just, for the present, but for the future. We had, who was it that used to do, he'd go out and record folk musicians out in their fields and the songs that people sang. I can't remember the name, but he did for Smithsonian Folkways. And but anyway, that's the kind of thing I kind of anticipated doing when I was young, is like, recording a sort of doing a documentary project of the times and of getting an idea of people's minds. And during
that was Alan Lomax.
Yes, there you go.
And the old wire recordings and some of the in his later years when he was doing it, he was able to create some kinescopes and some 16 millimeter film. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And in some cases, with some of these artists, these particularly Mississippi Delta guys, Alan Lomax is the only conduit that we have to their art.
Right.
And we're beginning to realize how precious that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm guessing that down the road, the archive of the Parrot is going to be something that you'll see on the Smithsonian Channel when the only available interview with the beat poet of Finland. Where are we going to find it? We're going to find it on Parrot, baby.
Absolutely. This is a movement for writers. It's a movement for scholars, musicians. We're out here promoting as much as we can and getting people getting their thoughts on literature in the times and society and how we're doing and coping with this mechanism of COVID and the isolation and how this is affecting all of us. So let's move to Maria and see what she has to say as far as how can we do more to promote this channel, and what role would you like to play as an ambassador? You're muted. Let me unmute you real quick.
Muted again. It's okay. It was all me. One of the things that I know, right? I can never be silenced.
Never.
Never. One of the things that I was going to suggest is continuing to build up your social media presence across all different platforms. Is going to be tremendously helpful for you as you move forward, as well as putting out an e-newsletter, as well as being able to round up your different constituents, your different contributors, past and present, all of their snail mail addresses too, compiling them, and essentially making sure that you're consistently finding those different ways to continue to be relevant. I think that you guys already do a great job at that. I do think there's something to be said for continuing to build up different social media presences across the board, including Twitter, including Instagram, including, I'm trying to think, LinkedIn. It's more of a professional platform, but you guys are just really killing it on YouTube. And I think that those are all the different ways in which you can continue to enhance your presence. The other thing that I was going to suggest is also considering different ways in which you can engage people and gain publicity for a multitude of different events. Like right now, you guys are doing these terrific interviews. Maybe you could expand those to webinars, drink and thinks. I mean, essentially maybe happy hours where everyone gets together and generates work, or you have a guest lead the workshop. And I would recommend charging people to go there so that way you can pay yourselves, pay your guest. I've done this before and it was really lucrative. I was really impressed. I walked away from a webinar I did, and I think in an hour and a half, I made $340. So you guys could be doing that too. And this was, bear in mind, this was a 60-40 split between me and the organization. So what I'm saying is you might want to consider some kind of a structure like that too, to kind of throw into your rotation of different, of all of these terrific events that you're already doing. So finding people and creating those different themes or webinars, and maybe having those people guest teach different courses or give craft talks or give a Q&A. You could even call it something different than a webinar, just because for me, when I hear webinar, I freak out. I'm like, no, meeting, get it away. I'm like, Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. So maybe find a way to not quote me on that when I say webinar, but find another way to jazz it up. Find interesting.
Pulmonar.
What did you call it, Dustin?
Pulmonar.
Yeah, I like, or funinar, or I don't freaking know. Like I said, I like drinking thing. I like drinking thing. I mean, just whatever. And to your point about, you're like, why do you write so much about drinking in bars? I mean, like, if it was something like that. And then lastly, one of the things that I would do is kind of searching for the different concerns and problems that writers and your constituents are having, and really coming to know your audience and being able to solve those problems. That's really easy. I mean, it's just like scrolling through Twitter, your social media news feed, right? You know what people's problems are. Like, they want to be published, they want to be heard, they want to learn different poetic forms, they sometimes can't afford them. So how can you tailor your structure to that and to those different concerns? So for example, if I'm scrolling through my social media feed and I'm like, okay, people are like, it really sucks, it's hard to get published, how do I do this, how do I get started? Bam, like maybe a webinar on placing your work in journals and which ones are suitable and how to go about that. Maybe I see a trend of people writing about recovery, having a webinar about recovery, maybe even organizing like a virtual online retreat, maybe whole courses. It really depends on the bandwidth that you have and how you see yourself and your resources working towards those. But I think in addition to leveraging donations, that, you know, $20 to $30 per person in exchange for them having like a really awesome guest, like, I don't know, me, Rick, not to volunteer myself like that.
Me, the big
I know,
me.
you got to be your own biggest advocate. But I think that those are all different ways in which you can continue to increase your strategy and presence, is through expanding your mode of interaction, so that it's not just interviews, but beyond that, expanding that repertoire and figuring out ways in which to sort of continue to remain relevant in ways that can be lucrative for you, that will also address your audience's different needs.
Excellent. Thanks for the suggestions, and we'll look forward to more in the future. And let's see what we have from Sankha Sen. What do you say? As an ambassador, what role would you like to play in promoting the World Inkers Network? We also have now registered publishing company called World Inkers Printing and Publishing Company. So that's a plus. That's a beginning for us, and that's a milestone for this wonderful network. So we're going to start publishing pretty soon as well, and we hope to publish about 100 writers this coming year, as well as do a show a day. So we're really looking forward to doing this. So Sankha, tell us a little bit about any ideas you have on helping promote the show as an ambassador. What would you like to participate in?
Well, congratulations for that. For this World Inkers Printing and Publishing Company. Yeah, looking forward to that as well. For my side, I have been also taking part in different associations. For example, currently in January, you know that this Panorama International Literature Festival has started. I hope you know that. I've been selected there as a participant, and I feel like they have a huge kind of literary network across the globe. Maybe you or Mutiu is also part of that. Already know that. And we have already done an inaugural kind of ceremony there. And what I see that poetry, maybe what to me how it appears is like, since I've taken part in different shows, live shows and all, I like this idea of workshops. For example, where we can kind of invite some people and kind of take a couple of related poetries for different areas. Currently they have kind of chosen an area soon near this Eternal Void, for example. We can choose some different specific areas, and we can select poetries out of that, and then we can have a positive review sessions out of that. For example, we invite 3-4 people, we kind of highlight the poetry on the screen, and we read a stanza out of it. The poet can read a stanza out of it, and we can keep the people or the reader prepared to kind of give a positive review of that work. In that, I feel that the people who are watching our show will get the correct interpretation, or rather they can also match their interpretation with the poetry which has been written, because mathematics and poetry is something different. I mean, a poet writes a poem and he has a particular interpretation of that in his mind, and it might also kind of be translated to the reader as well, and he can also get that interpretation to some extent 90% out of it, or 80%, or he can get a totally different interpretation of out of that, which is also very beautiful. So one line can really mean 3 4 things. I mean, you don't know. It is not mathematics like 1 + 1 is 2. So this is the beauty of literature. So it kind of goes as an interpretation of the reader. So like that, we can kind of do a positive review of the poems and really get the meaning to the people, and also understand what the readers have actually thought of it, and then this will make the whole show really very interesting. Okay, we have done a lot of interviews, like people explaining their achievements, their successes, and all that is kind of done. It also generates a lot of interest in kind of showing that, okay, we are so diversified that we are bringing talents across the globe. But to make it even more entertaining, when we can kind of take a poetry and discuss about it, do a positive review about it. And what I also kind of have done in my musical shows, like I kind of try to get the kind of participation of the audience. If the audience is just sitting and just listening, you don't know whether they're liking, or if they participate in the show, for example, kind of interactive way, so it makes the show totally a super success. So I can give this tip that try to make a kind of a review sessions kind of through workshops or interactive shows, where you can request the people to come out of the views should be positive. I mean, some people should not really write totally nonsense in the show, so that we should kind of prepare ourselves, and this will make the show even more interesting.
Well, thank you for the suggestions, and we look forward to you being an ambassador in 2022. We plan to cover 364 days of the year for interviews, and I publish up to 100 writers this year. So, Jill, we have Jill on the line here, so we'll see what Jill has. What do you anticipate as ambassador, and do you have any suggestions on how we can promote across the media and what we can do?
I actually have some questions.
Okay.
In terms of a mission that you're guided by for World Inkers, can you go over that, please? Because this came as a sudden surprise for me, a delightful invitation, and I'm very excited to be an active participant. But I'd like to have some idea of the mission statement, or simply the goals other than the ones you've already stated. Also, by choosing ambassadors with different backgrounds, you chose them. How did you see them playing their parts, specific individuals? There are not a lot of us, but hopefully we all can give. So when you chose ambassadors for this program, how did you see each one of us as contributing? Can you review some of that?
Mostly as promoting the World Inkers Network, the show, as promoting the helping us build the Facebook group, which we're looking for 1 million participants in that group. And so we can have people invite, their friends, other writers. We can also have, if you have people that you think are specifically interested in the program, help bring us guests on the program. And just bring in, just help us promote mostly, and just through social media, through, word of mouth, if you have the ability to do that. Mostly just promotion and as sort of an honorary title to help those that, have helped us quite a bit or helped contribute quite a bit to our standing. And we wanted to give something back to them as a guest on the program, as well as someone who we felt had offered something great to the program. We couldn't honor everybody. Obviously, it would have been a long list, but we definitely are very much pleased with all of our guests from last year, all 232 guests on the program. So mostly it's just about promoting on social media, developing a social media presence, and helping market the program, as well as bringing in other authors into the Facebook group.
Now, with such a grand goal, my question is, we can't clone you, Dustin. Are you looking at bringing on anyone else to also do the in-depth interviews?
We're looking for a second host. Yes. Yeah. For the other, somebody to kind of bounce ideas off of with me on the program. Yes. Hopefully a female. We're looking for a female participant in that endeavor.
Is that something as ambassadors that you would like us to make suggestions, or do you already sort of have that in place?
We haven't chosen anybody. I asked one other person, but she was not going to be able to do it. She said maybe as a guest host at some point, but I asked one other person, and she said she would be too busy. It'd be a pretty full commitment. I mean, we're talking a day, every day, or at least most every day of the year, being part of the program. And it's, it's like 40 minutes of a program on a daily basis. And plus the prep work that goes into it, it's maybe 10 or 15 minutes before the program, things like that. So hopefully we can find somebody that will at least be willing to commit to some of that energy, so it would be great to have an extra person to kind of help us balance the program a little bit. So if
that makes a great deal of sense. Absolutely.
Do that. I would love to take any suggestions you have on that as far as that is concerned. If you have anybody in mind that you think would work, then also would help to have somebody that has good network connections with the internet and stuff that won't have trouble getting on a daily basis. Hopefully I answered your question there.
You did.
Well, we're glad to have you as an ambassador. Definitely wonderful to have, all 10 of our ambassadors. We'll definitely do a show with the rest of you guys out there. If you haven't been on the show yet as an ambassador, we'll get some other people on. So did you have any suggestions on, on promoting the show, or, we have the workshops ideas with workshops and webinars and other things. Do you have any other suggestions you'd like to add to that?
I don't think people will have too much difficulty if you keep it as a minimal fee, like Maria suggested. I think once you get above $20 for participation in an event, people have pretty high expectations. So it sounds ideal, but I know that having just been a panelist in an event called Twisted Trees for Fine Lines, and that was actually preliminary for a 2-day conference. They're charging $50 for a 2-day conference and $50 for 4 hours, and a great deal of opportunity to learn from someone who's been doing this for 30 years. They just celebrated their 30-year anniversary, and their issues are marvelous. So that's a learning experience that it's well worth the $50. But when you're looking at people from so many other countries, it becomes difficult for people to pay more than a small, whether you consider it a donation or however you phrase it, whether it's tax deductible, it doesn't matter. The point is, people have very limited resources right now. And in other countries, even less. So if I love the happy hour idea, it's something the Garden of Noro is doing, and I'm happy to share the success that goes on in there, because a number of the ideas that Maria brought up are things that we're actively doing in the Garden of Noro. It's for women. Maria, I'll make sure you get an introduction, since this is an invitation, since this is my first chance to meet you. If I have your email, I would love to send you an invitation. But these kind of events are going on, and they're well received. But I know that when you reach a certain number, people balk. So it's important. It's whether you have that disposable income right now.
Right.
Sometimes it even affects whether you can pay to download a book. So those things it's a great idea as a fundraiser, but it's also very important to remember that right now everybody is struggling. So we have to make these events affordable.
I believe Maria wanted
that's
to
something to bring up.
I definitely, yes, thank you. I'm sorry, Dustin, what were you going to say?
I was just introducing you back into the program. You wanted to say something. I was going to make sure you had the time to say something, whatever it was you wanted to say. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I didn't want to cut you off. Kind of to Jill's point and to counterpoint that, I wanted to jump in and clarify something. The last webinar I did, I had, I guess it's anecdotal, but not really. I mean, I had 16 people show up and they paid $35 a pop. And like I said, it was a 60-40 split. So the host walked with the remainder of the $337. I really think that there's a wonderful way that you can absolutely 100%. And this is just like the businesswoman in me. You guys can absolutely charge more and have excellent price points. But the other thing that you can do, to Jill's point, which I can do, and I do as well, and I'm starting to more and more, you can also have stuff with different price points. You can also have freebies, because here's the thing. You guys give away a lot of content for free. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm a huge fan of it. I'm just trying to figure out, like right now I'm teaching, for example, an online course, and I'm actually posting the materials for free, just for fun, so that people can get a feel for it, so that they can follow along, even if they're not paying for the workshop. I also offer sliding scale workshops, so that way I have a certain number of spaces that I can give away to people, whereas the people who can pay will pay $300. And so I've found, and what I'm trying to say is, I don't necessarily know if you need to do that for every webinar, but I'm a huge fan of having different price points, because I absolutely understand that right now people are struggling, and they always are, but also like some people aren't, and they'll be happy to pony up. So, I mean, quite frankly, there's also that. And I'm a big believer in integrating everyone and figuring out ways to do that. So for example, if you were to offer a webinar with comprehensive materials included or something like that, and all the bells and whistles, perfect. And then, and that one can be like 35, 40, heck, more. And then if you have, for example, a sliding scale workshop with the understanding that people pay what they can, while you set a certain budget and a goal, maybe cover anybody who can't afford the webinar with donations, or just, kind of like leave that open. But what I'm trying to say is that there are different ways you can be strategic about price points, while also while also giving yourselves the opportunity to maximize your revenue. Can you tell I work in marketing?
Yeah, and to just reinforce what both of you guys have been saying, one, to use an old sage, if you build it, they will come. But second, human psychology is that things that are free are not valued as much as things that you have to put effort or money into. Right. And you guys have been giving away something very, very valuable. And you've now created this base and this reputation, and you clearly have people like us as ambassadors to be a part of this going forward. And it's, my friend, you asked what to do. It's time to monetize it to some extent. Not to the point where that gets in the way of the mission, but to the point where it allows you to buy the equipment you need so that you're not doing it out of pocket, because I know that's what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And that is, the future of this, a million subscribers. that's going to be happening in the context of this becoming, to some extent, a monetized model, in my opinion. And I think Maria and I are completely on. And we both have backgrounds in marketing and promotion.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you create it and then you ascribe a value to it that people are going to accept and then value based on the fact that they have to put in the time and they have to put in a little bit of money. I mean, I was a participant in Maria's $35 webinar. It's some of the best $35 I ever spent. I got, you know, an incalculable amount of value for that hour and a half. I'm a better writer because of some of the things that she has done that I have participated in and indeed paid for. And then she creates sliding scale, and she serves the artist first. So, to speak to the other point of people having limited funds, Maria does a great job of making sure that, the people that are sitting out there on trust funds get to pay their $500, and the people who are not but are talented and are going to contribute well to what she's doing are going to, it's the concept of utilitarianism, from each
Mhm.
as he is able to each as he needs. And when you move forward in that way, but at the same time valuing yourself in a way that our culture values all of us, which is with a dollar sign to some extent, I think that's your future. And that's going to buy you the equipment you need instead of having to use day job money for it. So
Yeah,
I'll be quiet again, but I just
yeah.
wanted to, because I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
so many things there, and I just saw that as a summary. It's about
And you
show
can have
me the
Rick and
money,
I
Dustin.
host.
Show me the money.
Rick and
Yeah,
I are fun hosts. I'm just
Maria and
saying.
Rick, like I also is also with you. One more thing I just wanted to also add is like I have also talked with Dustin regarding this. Like a show really becomes super success when we like for example, on monthly basis or like quarterly basis, if we can advertise in kind of inviting some celebrity. I don't know. I mean, let's say if you invite some real celebrities who the whole world knows, like in a quarter maybe, let's say Tom Hanks for example, and get him into the show and ask him to read a couple of things which you kind of make him read, and this will just kind of be a virus and it will be viral across the globe, and you'll get a million subscribers within just a couple of weeks. I mean, think about that on that line.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for joining us on the program. Our ambassadors, Jill Sharon Kimmelman, Maria Nazos, Brick Christiansen, and Sankha Sen. I'm Dustin Pickering, and this has been World Inkers Network second show of the year. So thank you guys again for joining us today. And it's been really interesting to hear your ideas, and I'm really pleased that you love participating in this program and in this network. We'll definitely keep you guys in contact and keep suggestions flowing out. And so, with final words, anybody have anything else to add to what we've already said, or are we good?
I'd like to say thank you because
Thank
most
you.
of you are not familiar to me, which probably means I'm not familiar to you. So, other than Dustin, I'd like to say thank you. I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you. And because of my unique health challenges, I actually do have more available time sometimes on where I can be more accessible and maybe be of greater help. So I'd like to make it clear that ask, and if there's something I can do to help, please don't hesitate. If for some reason you don't get a response from me, know that I'm going through a bad time. But please don't hesitate to use me as a resource. You may not know me well, but I hope that you'll get to know me better. I hope you'll enjoy my book. Thanks, Dustin, for letting me mention that. But I'm very, very excited about the idea of working on this project, of bringing Dustin and Muti's goals to a reality, because I'll tell you, if I could make my book a reality, with every possible obstacle that I encountered, and we're not talking everyday obstacles, we're talking major interruption obstacles, and I got it out there, and I'm incredibly proud of that. And so I'd like to say that I'm a good resource for solving problems. So please don't hesitate to write to me, and please don't hesitate to ask me to be of assistance. And I'll do my best to be a great partner to all of you. And it's a tremendous honor to meet each one of you. And I look forward to getting to know you. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Jill, and thank you, Maria, Rick, and Sankha. Did anybody have any shout-outs they'd like to give in the end of the program here? You want to say hello to anybody? Or
yes, this coming Tuesday night, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern, come to SpoFest. Your host here, Dustin Pickering, is going to be reading some of his work. He's one of our featured readers, and it's another opportunity and forum to hear good writing and network with some of the best writers in this country, sharing some of their best work. So one way to contribute to this group is to participate in the others, because there's a lot of cross-pollination out there between us. And the best indicator of that is, Dustin, I'm going to see you Tuesday night, my friend.
Rick, can you give me the name of that program?
It is called SpoFest. SPO, capital FEST. You can find it on Facebook. There's a group, and we work really hard to make sure that the links for signing up for the Zoom side of it, or just watching it on Facebook, are out there and available in a lot of places. So just do a Facebook search on SpoFest, and you will find our January 4th featured reader event. And the first one on that list is your host today, Dustin Pickering.
I look forward to
gentleman and scholar friend.
Indeed.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Dustin, I just want to say, for such kind of information, if we can make some messenger group or WhatsApp group where you can kind of some forum where you can keep on sharing links and all, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea, definitely. Well, I'll keep in touch, and this has been World Inkers Network and Series 2 here, Episode 2 of the year. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. And if you want to donate to this program, we can do that through PayPal, paypal.me/nyparrot, and that's paypal.me/nyparrot. Support our programming through that. You can invite people to our Facebook group, World Inkers Network. You can share our content. You can subscribe to our channel. That's a wonderful way to support this program, is subscribing. And you can be a guest. You can be a guest on this program. Yes, you too. Anybody out there watching right now, if you've not been on the program this past year, you got to get on this program. It's an excellent way to promote your work, to promote your ideas, to promote your thoughts, and to meet new people if you're interested in that side of things too. So you can get in touch with me, literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. And that's my email address, and I'm Dustin Pickering. You can address me. Just say, hello, Dustin. I'd like to be on the program. I'll help you out any way you want. I'll make sure you have a convenient time slot for yourself, and that way you're not compromised in your activities and your work. I'm sure everybody's got a job and things they got to do, but I'll make sure to get you a time that'll be appropriate for you. So don't worry about that either. But thank you guys for being on the program today. We're looking for 1 million subscribers. 1 million. That's 1 million subscribers to this channel, and 1 million Facebook followers on the group. So just keep out and keep promoting us and sharing our content and asking people to subscribe to our channel. Thanks to our 4 ambassadors today, Rick Christiansen, Sankha Sin, Maria Nazos, and Jill Sharon Kimmelman, for being on the show and joining us today with their time and their ideas. So thank you so much today. I hope everyone out there gets out and writes some nice material. Have an excellent afternoon. Go out and write something. Hi, I am Dustin Pickering from Parrot Literary Corner. You know me, your noble and honest host, and I've got exciting news for you. Last anthology, Series 1, The Literary Parrot, did such a great job. We wanted to continue to provide this community service to our viewers and to our contributors to the program. So please get up and get a copy immediately. You know, if you're in this book, you want to get a copy. If you're not in the book, you want to get a copy and see what we're doing. You want to be excited with us. We want you on this program, and we hope to see you sometime soon on The Literary Parrot. You have to get your hands on this copy. It's amazing. It's an absolutely beautiful anthology meant just for you. Our past guests have been invited back to contribute yet again to this Series 2. We do this quarterly anthology. We will be doing this after our 200 episode milestone. As of this last quarter, we reached 200 episodes, and past that, get up and get a copy immediately. This is the only TV show on earth for creative writers, and our guests are amazing. They're also community activists building from the ground up. This program is for everybody out there who is a creative mind. Order several copies if you can and donate to local libraries. Give them to your friends, cousins, fans, supporters, anybody that you think